Premier League football is back. Yes, you have heard it here first. Not, of course, you haven't. It's on Boxing Day. Only a few more sleeps to go till you hear the crowd traveling to Emirates singing "I Am for a Blow Bubbles." I hope you are buzzing because I am. I know some fans are not. They're not excited, but we just have to wait and see what happens come Boxing Day, of course. Now, it's less than a week until we are returning to Premier League action against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium, which will be our first competitive match for 38 days due to the World Cup in Qatar. And we've had 3 friendlies since our last competitive match against Leicester City on November the 12th, winning 2 and drawing the other. Arsenal can open up an 8-point lead with victory in North London ahead of Man City playing 2 days later, although they're still some way from the halfway mark of the campaign. During the World Cup break, Arsenal beat Lyon and AC Milan in Dubai before a friendly defeat to the hands of Juventus as well. Now, let's get into a little bit of team news. Mikel Arteta will have to decide whether to start William Saliba, who is only set to return to training for a short period after the World Cup final, but should be fresh, having played only 27 minutes for France in Qatar. Gabriel Jesus, who we know, and Emile Smith-Rowe from a groin injury are out, while Reece Nielsen is a doubt after going off against Juventus with an apparent hamstring injury. There are also question marks over Zinchenko and Tomiyasu with a hamstring injury. West Ham, on the other hand, could be without Naif Aguerd. He reports back to Rush Green tomorrow or today, so we'll find out and assess what the situation is with him. Of course, he was in the quarterfinal team when it was pulled out at the last minute. He was then, or the semi-final team, I should say, pulled out at the last minute, but he was on the bench, and he was on the bench for the third place playoff, but he didn't feature as well. Now, what we do know is Kurt Zouma was set to miss out due to his knee surgery last month. Max Cornet is absent. We've been told that we expect him to be absent over the next couple of games. There's doubts over Aaron Creswell, Gianluca Scamacca, and Mickey Antonio. And Arsenal have been a big bogey team for West Ham in recent years, but we should make things tough for a side there as well. And I think we can make things tough. And one player I think that can get this ball rolling for us is Jared Bowen, a player that could have been one of the biggest disappointments so far this season. He finished last season with 18 goals in all competition, but this season he's netted only 5 goals so far, of which 3 of those came in the Europa Conference League, with just 2 goals so far in the Premier League. Against Cambridge, he opened the scoring with a superb strike from the edge of the box with his weaker right foot. While he did not score against Udinese, he did have a hand in all of the 3 goals, as well as looking more likely his normal, lively self. At Fulham, Bowen was back in the goals, making the most of a good Flynn Downs challenge after Issa Diop gave the ball away before West Ham countered, and Bowen finished really well. So with 2 goals and more contributions to those for others, the form of him and even recently Saeed Benrahma in the trio of friendlies can only be a very big positive for us. Now, something that I've taken from all these 3 friendlies, which you probably will notice as well, is the fact that West Ham have conceded and gone down 1-0 in the first half. So there's the common fact. It takes us a little while to get going, but Bowen took just a minute to level from the opener against Cambridge, while Benrahma just took over 30 minutes to cancel out the opening goal against Udinese. It took longer against Fulham, but again, Bowen cancelled out their first half header. And it is a concern for us. It is a concern that we do take a bit more time to get rocking and rolling and getting up there. But what we could find ourselves in is the situation is that Jared Bowen could lead the line for West Ham come the game on Boxing Day, because we're still waiting to hear out and assess the situation with Skamaka. We were led to believe from Billy McKinley it was more of a precaution to make sure that there was no injury. He rolled over on his ankle injury, so hopefully there's no problems there. We are hearing that Antonio was a precaution not to feature against Fulham because of a thigh strain or tear or something like that, but they think that he could be available for the Arsenal game. And because of that situation, and we have got Devin Mubama in the youth setup, what does that mean for West Ham? How does that mean that West Ham can progress with no forwards in the team? Would you give Devin Mubama a chance? Would Moyes do that? Would he give him a chance? Or is it the chance for West Ham to go back to a false nine like we did previous seasons when we've run out of striker options? It's an option. Jared Bowen is more than capable of doing it. We know he's more than capable of doing it. We just need to find that form and lead the line. And he can cause problems up top. He can get in behind the defenders. He can shoot from distance. He can beat defence for pace. And I think he could cause bother. And if Antonio and Skamaka don't make it and Devin Mubama doesn't get given the chance, I think he is a ready-made player for that role. He has played in that role several times before for Hull. It's not his natural position. He likes cutting in from the wing, having a little bit of freedom in and around that edge of the box, etc. But I think he's more than capable of playing in that kind of false nine role. And if Antonio and Skamaka don't make it, we could be left with Jared Bowen leading the line. How would you feel about that? Now, we're going into the return to training. Zuma was only absentee during this training session, but the return to training combined with matches and players away from the World Cup has led to a sudden pile-up of injuries. Maxwell Cornet returned from the calf issue, suffered another setback, and it seems that he could miss the first of the Christmas fixtures. Left-back Aaron Creswell came off early in the win against Cambridge with a hamstring injury, and as a consequence, he has missed the trips to Udinese and Fulham. They could be just managing the circumstances there. Like I said up front, the concerns are Antonio, who missed the Fulham game due to the thigh issue, Skamaka coming off in the first half from a nasty tackle from Issa Diop at the World Cup. Now, you've Aguerd suffered a groin injury, although it's not thought to be serious, but close proximity of all of these fresh concerns comes at a bad time for West Ham, as we are due to return him ourselves as well. With defender Tilo Kira back from the World Cup, there has been a chance for Vladimir Sufal to play himself back into action and try and show David Moyes what he's capable of doing. And whilst Kira, to a certain extent, has been a reasonable, consistent summer signing for David Moyes, there's been a few key moments in games directly involving him that's not gone down well with supporters. He has attacked well when given the chance. This is Vladimir Sufal against Cambridge and Udinese, and started against Udinese and Cambridge ahead of Ben Johnson. Sufal seems to be the preferred choice over Ben Johnson, which has not always been the case this season. So with Kira only playing once at the World Cup, there could be a chance there for Sufal to come in to the game and get his chance as well. But for me, we're going to need goals. This is the key element for us. This is the area where we are struggling the most. We are being defeated or not winning games by small margins. I agree with that comment that David Moyes said, but we need to rely heavily on the likes of Benrahma, Bowen, the creativity in the team, Skamaka, Antonio, put that ball in the back of the net. When Corney comes back, put that ball in the back of the net. Paqueta, feed those balls to those players. When Paqueta's not played, we really have missed that fluidity in the middle of the park, that ability to penetrate the defense and allow the striker to make the runs and to put the ball into the back of the net. You could see clear as mustard when Paqueta was injured before the World Cup that Skamaka really missed that creativity from him. But we've got Declan Rice, we've got Skamaka back. We're expecting them to feature in the game as well. And the game's there for the taking. Listen, we've not got the best of records against the top sides, especially away from home, but you've got to live in some form of hope, and hope that maybe there's a reset taking place over the winter break and we can be positive moving into this game and treat that 6-week break or whatever it was there as an opportunity to reset and start again. And that's what's needed. But for me, we need to see some changes in that team. Join me and Matt as we go through and dissect our starting 11 for the game against Arsenal. If you are watching, put your predictions in the chat just now for the game. So, my predictions, here we go. People think I'm living in a pipe dream world. Yes, I'll admit it, sometimes I do. I am a positive West Ham fan. I think Arsenal are there for the taking. I think every team we've played, I think when West Ham, it depends on what West Ham turn up. So, yes, I will be disappointed if specific players are starting or the setup is the same. I would look for some changes, but I think we are capable in a day. Arsenal build their team a lot, especially their new progressive style, on the likes of Gabriel Jesus. Now, I'm not saying he's the solo reason why they are where they are. They've got quality players, Odegaard, Saka, of course, coming back from England. But I think we've got enough capabilities in the middle of the park to deal with any of the threats that they've got. It's about what they do up top and putting the ball into the back of the net. This game is going to be about putting the ball into the back of the net. Simple as that. Where they're going to rely heavily on who's going to be taking the mantelpiece up top. We're going to rely heavily on who's going to take the mantelpiece up top. But David Moyes has been working with those guys saying, this is it, fine margins. But since the turn of the year, we've not been putting the ball in the back of the net. That needs to change. That absolutely needs to change. And do you know what? If that doesn't change, Moyes will be out of a job. Moyes is not stupid. Moyes knows that. Moyes knows that. So he needs to get this team rocking and rolling, working themselves forward, putting the ball into the back of the net, and we can start pushing away up the league. I'm going for a 2-1 West Ham victory at the Emirates, sticking that stupid stat about us not playing and beating these teams. I don't care. I'm a West Ham fan. I'm going to go to the Emirates with the mindset that Santa's given us a little gift and given us some 3 points away from home, and that's a good way to start the next 3 games. That's what we want. Keep the faith, have the positivity. Fingers crossed we can walk away with 3 points. And of course, as we usually do, come on, you Irons.
It's like a family tree.